Some stories get lost in time, buried beneath dust and whispers, but not this one. This one still echoes, in a house where the walls remember the screams. This is the true story of the Villisca Axe Murders, one of the most brutal and unsolved massacres in American history. June 10, 1912, Villisca, Iowa. The Moore family. Josiah and Sarah, along with their 4 children, Herman 11, Catherine 10, Boyd 7, and Paul 5, had just come home from a church event. They brought along 2 friends for a sleepover, Ina and Lena Stillinger, sisters aged 8 and 12, 8 people, all under one roof. By sunrise, all 8 were dead. But this wasn't just a murder, this was something else. When neighbors noticed the house quiet the next morning, they sent for help. What they found was something out of a nightmare. Each member of the Moore family, and the Stillinger girls, had been bludgeoned to death with an axe, all murdered in their sleep, their skulls crushed, most of the faces completely unrecognizable. Josiah alone had been struck more than 30 times. The killer had used the blunt side of the axe, then covered the victims' faces with sheets and mirrors with cloth, as if he couldn't stand to look at what he'd done. There were no screams, no signs of a struggle. The house was locked from the inside. Even stranger, the murderer had lingered. He made himself at home. He cooked a plate of food that he didn't eat, left a bowl of bloody water in the kitchen, and covered all the mirrors and windows. Like someone performing a ritual. In the attic, police found impressions in the dust, a hiding spot. The theory? He'd waited there for hours, possibly all day, until the family went to sleep. Then, he struck. The town descended into panic. Doors were locked for the first time in Villisca's history. People suspected neighbors, strangers, even each other. The case drew nationwide attention, suspects included a traveling preacher named Reverend George Kelly, who'd been at the church event the Moores attended. He was odd, claimed to hear voices, even confessed to the crime, but then recanted. A rival businessman who hated Josiah Moore, with a motive, but no proof. A serial killer, one of many axe murders that occurred along train routes in the Midwest during that time. Yet no one was convicted, no motive confirmed, and the case went cold. But the house didn't forget. Years passed. The home changed hands, but every owner reported the same thing. Footsteps in the attic, doors creaking open, cold spots, children's laughter at night. People reported waking up at exactly 2 a.m., the estimated time of the murders. Ghost hunters have stayed there overnight, some left early, others recorded whispers, shadows, moving objects. And today, the Villisca Axe Murder House is a tourist attraction. You can sleep there if you dare. But there's one question that still haunts everyone who hears this story. Why didn't anyone hear it? 8 people, murdered one after another, in the dead of night, with a blunt axe. No screams, no escape, just death and silence. Was it a serial killer trained to move in darkness, a preacher driven by madness, a local with a grudge? Or was it something else, something darker than human? 100 years later, the mystery remains. No justice, no peace, just a house in Iowa, and the ghosts of a family that never saw it coming.